Right now at 6, a brazen carjacking leaves a Portland chef shaken up.
Two of them went and got in my car, and one of them pulled a gun on me.
The surprising way his ordeal ended, and the ongoing search for a group of suspects. Plus,
ready to bargain, ready to strike.
OHSU nurses demanding a new contract. How soon they could walk off the job if negotiations go nowhere.
And a measure that would require Oregon gun buyers to grab a permit once again has its day in court.
This is about the individual right to self-defense.
Large capacity magazines have been used in all 10 of the deadliest mass shootings.
What that hearing in Eastern Oregon could mean for the future of gun control.
Good evening, everybody. First at 6, you are looking at a carjacking caught on camera. The man in the middle here, a Portland chef, baffled as he's confronted by what appear to be 5 young suspects. One of them, he says, brandishing a gun.
The video, which runs for over a minute, shows what appears to be uncoordinated chaos. The suspect scrambling in and out of his vehicle on the left until they eventually decide it's time to go. Thank you for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter.
And I'm David Molko. This evening, 4 days after that terrifying encounter, police are searching for Cameron Dunlap's vehicle and the suspects. Daisy Caballero with the story behind the video.
There was 5 people in the car. 3 of them jumped out and surrounded me and were very threatening.
Cameron Dunlap is reliving the terrifying moments he was robbed and carjacked at gunpoint off Southeast 135th and Division Thursday night. Dunlap was heading home from work, but stopped at this parking lot to forage some figs off these trees, something his Moracella restaurant is known for cooking with. This surveillance video shows Dunlap speechless, not knowing what to do.
2 of them went and got in my car, and one of them pulled a gun on me, and then that's where I decided I couldn't really do anything about the situation.
Dunlap couldn't make out faces, but says they were all wearing black hoodies or tracksuits.
They're all yelling at me and were arguing.
Then he quickly realized.
They were children. They were babies. They had to have been 20 or under.
The thieves backed into their own car before racing out of the parking lot, leaving Cameron to walk 10 blocks home and eventually calling the police.
I feel like because there was a gun there that they took it much more seriously.
Police praised Cameron for not engaging with the thieves and fighting back. A theft detective called him the next day for another report and then started the waiting game many Portlanders now know, as car thefts in the Rose City have been a significant problem in recent years.
Now it's this petty theft and kind of just destruction. It's just a general destruction that's just happening all over the city.
Cameron is now considering carrying a gun for his and his son's safety, hoping this never happens again. While the clock is ticking, his car is still gone. No one has been arrested in connection to the theft. Dunlap is staying optimistic.
I just hope that I get my car back. I hope that I can continue doing what I do, and I don't really want anybody to have to go to jail. I've been to jail and it sucks, so I wouldn't put that on those kids. That would ruin their lives.
Daisy, 5 suspects, a chaotic encounter. If Cameron Dunlap doesn't want them to get caught and go to jail, what's he hoping for instead here?
Well, David, from our conversation, Dunlap, yes, doesn't want jail time for these suspects, but would rather find a way to help them so they can stop stealing cars. That could mean helping them find financial stability or maybe finding the support they need so they don't have to commit crimes. David?
Yeah, some might call that a little bit generous given he's the victim of a crime here. Thank you, Daisy.
In your other headlines tonight, take a look at this video from Washington County. It shows a burglar making off with cash and more. This happened just before 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon at the Winkleman Dog Park in Aloha. The victims say the man you see here stole their car keys plus a purse and a wallet. Those were later found on the side of the road with the cash cards all gone, long gone. More cars at the dog park may have been hit, so call the Washington County Sheriff's Office if you have any information.
In Happy Valley, investigators say they think a fire at a fiberglass plant over the weekend was set intentionally. It sparked early Saturday morning at Miles Fiberglass on Oddie Road near the I-205 overpass. Officials told people living in the area to stay inside, and 2 nearby apartment buildings were evacuated due to concerns over asbestos. Those evacuations were lifted yesterday. Now, test results for asbestos in the apartments are expected later this week, though officials say they believe the risk is low.
Some of Oregon's most powerful business leaders are putting their money behind an effort to partially repeal Measure 110 with a 2024 ballot measure that was filed today. The 2020 voter-approved initiative decriminalized the possession of small amounts of hard drugs, including meth and fentanyl. The Portland Business Journal is reporting that Columbia Sportswear's Tim Boyle, retired Nike chairman Phil Knight, beverage distribution magnate Ed Miletus, and the Schnitzer and Goodman families have altogether donated $700,000 to the coalition to fix and improve ballot measure 110. The changes they're seeking include recriminalizing possession of hard drugs and outlawing public drug use, making addiction treatment mandatory as an alternative to jail, and upping penalties for drug dealing. Supporters, including Washington County DA Kevin Barton, say it is not a return to the war on drugs.
We're using the criminal justice system only to the extent minimally necessary to ensure that people engage successfully in treatment. And we're giving every motivation we can to get people through that treatment program and then ensure that they don't have a criminal record once they graduate successfully.
But some say pulling the plug on Measure 110 will do more harm than good. Hear what they told our Pat Doris tomorrow night on The Story.
Meanwhile, the union representing certain Kaiser health workers is set to return to the bargaining table with meetings scheduled for Thursday and Friday. Kaiser and SEIU members are trying to reach an agreement before their current contract expires on September 30th. The union represents workers like nursing assistants and surgical technicians. They're asking for better working conditions and a minimum wage of $25 an hour to meet the rising cost of living. Kaiser right now offering $21 an hour and says it is committed to hiring more staff. Now, on top of all of that, the UFCW, that's another union that represents imaging and pharmacy workers at Kaiser, announced its members have also voted to authorize a strike.
I'm Matt Safino. It's a pretty great way to start the last week of summer. Fall begins on Friday evening. 47 degrees up at Timberline, though. Definitely cooler than it was this weekend, and the smoke has thinned out a bit as we had a weak weather system move on through. Now, behind it, there's not much in the way of cloud cover yet. We will see the clouds increase a little bit overnight tonight, but then clear again tomorrow. We still have fire weather concerns. We haven't had enough rain to put an end to fire season. So with the winds that have picked up in the Columbia Basin, that's why we have fire weather concerns for dangerous fire weather conditions. Should a fire start, it could spread critically. On the beach, this is a sure sign of fall not being far away. Beach hazard statement because the threat of sneaker waves is elevated through midday tomorrow. So enjoy the great weather at the beach, but do not turn your back on the ocean because every now and then you get a wave that runs way farther up the beach than the rest of them. That's what a sneaker wave is, and they can be very dangerous. 60 at Canada Beach right now. Beautiful day at the beach. So we got a few sprinkles on Tuesday night, but no significant rain. The week will end with warmer weather. Fall begins, as I mentioned, Friday night. Some weekend showers, yeah, a little bit. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Guys, back to you.
All right, we'll see you later. Thank you, Matt.
Let's get to an update this evening now surrounding thousands of nurses at OHSU who are now making it crystal clear if they cannot reach a new deal on a contract, they are ready to strike.
Let's bring in Joe Ranieri joining us from Markham Hill. And Joe, it sounds like the vote to authorize the strike wasn't even close.
Exactly right, you guys. This was a historic vote. 95% of the nurses here at OHSU voted to approve this strike. Now, that does not mean that a strike is definitely going to happen, but it does mean the nurses gave their union permission to call the OHSU if negotiations do fall apart. There is no denying how challenging things have been for frontline workers like nurses over the last couple of years.
We lost over 60% of our staff during the pandemic. We relied tremendously on travel nurses, and thank goodness for them because they really saved us, saved patients from certain death.
Now, OHSU nurses are demanding a better contract. That's why an overwhelming majority of nurses, 95%, voted to authorize a strike.
We don't want to strike. We want to take care of our patients. We want to come to work, but we need a fair contract to do that.
Many of the more than 3,000 nurses with OHSU showed up to a rally Monday morning at Elizabeth Carruthers Park on the South Waterfront. That included oncology nurse Duncan Zvetsky.
If I have to spend my entire night just trying to keep people alive, I don't get to spend time with the patient in a meaningful way. I don't get to spend time and have that emotional connection.
What nurses want? Not only improved working conditions, but also a safer work environment for patients and staff.
I'm really proud to be an OHSU nurse. I love emergency medicine, and I want to continue to be a safety net for my community.
In a statement, OHSU said they take seriously a possibility of a strike and hope it can be avoided. They said they are offering a wage increase of 15% the first year of the deal, followed by another 5% the last 2 years of the contract. The hospital system also said it will meet or exceed state-mandated staffing levels by the middle of next year. While no agreement has been made yet,
we're hoping we don't have to do that. We are ready to bargain and ready to strike every day.
Nurses are hoping that a fair agreement can be met soon.
Now, if you're a patient here at OHSU, right now it's business as normal. You can still show up and nurses are still on the job. Today's vote means the union can now call on a strike, but it wouldn't happen right away. By law, the nurses would have to give a 10-day notice before walking off the job. Now, earlier today, OHSU did reach out to some union representatives saying they are more than happy to go back to the bargaining table. So we'll see what happens over the next coming days and the next coming weeks. Reporting live in Southwest Portland, Joe Ranieri, KGW News.
Thank you, Joe.